This is how I completed all 33 dark matter weapons as a regular person. As I'm sure you've seen from the videos, I have unlocked dark matter. If you hadn't seen that video already where I did unlock it, I would actually check it out. It's probably one of my finest videos to date. I'm going to be showing you how a regular person with a job, someone who goes outside and does activities and stuff, lives a life, still managed to unlock dark matter within a month of the game releasing with fair amount of playtime. As a whole, unlocking dark matter in multiplayer, if you take away the fact of some of the guns, for example, you know, the snipers were fairly difficult because, as I'm sure if you've all tried by now, if you're all going for dark matter still, if you're a regular person like myself, you will have discovered that getting headshots with snipers is fairly hard. And if you haven't found that out to be fairly hard, then I sincerely envy you and I wish I was as good as you at this game. But yeah, barring the snipers, there really isn't too many categories that I would consider to be challenging enough to where it's not worth going for the grind. Especially if some of you guys have played the other Call of Duties and gotten the camo grinds on that. I'm sure some of you are aware of the Modern Warfare 2019 grind, the Obsidian grind, which was, as much as I never played Modern Warfare 2019, I've heard countless things of people saying that it was by far the hardest grind. It took some people over a year to get it, the entire Call of Duty cycle of that year to get it, and so it's definitely not that difficult. This year it's fairly tame considering, you know, what you are getting and the camo you're getting. It's quite tame. For the basic categories like the assault rifles and the SMGs, and I'd even put the LMGs and the marksman rifles into this category, kind of. The main things you want to be really doing is trying to go into hardcore face-off mosh pit and basically just try your best to basically find stakeout. Now with Season 1, there is new maps like Heirloom, which is a fairly small map. It's a map where you can probably rack up a fair few headshots in one game, just like Stakeout. But I would say only play these if you are having a horrendous time at finding Stakeout. I mean, Stakeout is by far the easiest map we've ever had in Call of Duty ever. I don't think I'm wrong for saying that, to grind camos on. For the four categories chosen, like the assault rifles, the marksmans, the SMGs, and the LMGs, there isn't really a specific class setups or attachments that you need to be running. What I would recommend is that you just choose something that you choose a class setup which provides you with something that's fairly low recoil so that you can focus fully on putting your crosshair in the right place and making sure that you are actually hitting headshots more than you are not hitting headshots. I know there are some guns in these categories which people are having issues with, especially the assault rifles and the Goblin MK2. Now for me, for some reason, the Goblin MK2 was fairly easy. I didn't actually have any issues doing the Goblin MK2, but I know lots of people have, and I think the main issue for that is that people are trying to use the Goblin MK2 in core. They're trying to do it in, you know, like the Nuketown mosh pit, or even now, as the time I'm recording this, there is a 24/7 Stakeout mosh pit, and people are trying to do the headshots for it in Stakeout, and say that's not efficient or you're going to have a horrible time doing that would be a fairly big understatement. So even if you're a committed core grinder, which couldn't say enough, I don't recommend for this camo grind, but if you are, stop being a bitch. Go play hardcore. I'm also aware too with some of the marksman rifles, you have like the Taskarov or whatever it's called, that gun. And some of the other single shot, the DM10, they can be done fairly easily in core, but for the DM10, I would say you should probably still play hardcore. I mean, it's a fairly inconsistent one-hit kill to the head in core, whilst in hardcore, like most things are there, it's a consistent one-shot headshot kill, and I would just do that. I would still say those four categories you guys shouldn't have any troubles with. The biggest trouble, like it was for myself, was actually finding the time to do it, and that's kind of the whole point of this video, is that I was a regular person grinding dark matter. I didn't do dark matter for a video, or I didn't do dark matter to show off or anything. I did it for myself, really, because it's something fun to do in the time that I have to pass. And I think if you're just like me, you should be, instead of focusing on trying to get it done as quickly as possible, I would be trying to focus on getting it done as least stressfully as possible. Now, as it is a camo grind, you're going to find some stress. Like I was saying before, the snipers, they are a nightmare. There isn't really a way you can make them not a nightmare. They're just simply a nightmare. I'm sure if any of you are like me, which I'm sure there's definitely some people out there who would most definitely like me, you will have remembered the Black Ops 3 snipers and how they were just get 100 one-shot, one kills. And, you know, I would think that's a pretty fair challenge. You know, not everyone is very skilled, well adversed with snipers. I know I'm definitely not. I haven't sniped in God knows how long until this game. So but because you can't avoid these things, just suck it up. If you're gonna do it, you just gotta suck it up. If you don't have the time to do it, then don't rush it. Seriously, just don't rush it. Snipers are incredibly stressful. I happened to just have one night where I was free from everything. I had a night where I could stay in and I had to do nothing other than just, you know, play the game. I will say this is fairly obvious, but for any snipers that isn't the SVD, I would recommend you playing core for the snipers. You can even play core for the SVD, but for some reason I just had a much easier time hitting headshots in hardcore with the SVD. That's completely backwards because like it is a sniper, it's one-shot headshots, but for some reason I just had a far easier time doing the SVD in hardcore. But the main point you should be taking away is with the snipers is that it's not going to be easy, and so do whatever you think's the less stressful way of doing it, and just do it your way. Don't try and do what all these other big people are doing, the people who have no life do, and try and do it the most efficient, fast way as possible. You should really be focusing on just taking your time and not having your whole day ruined because you only got 5 headshots in a match when some people get 20 or whatever. And I think the last category which people are going to be really struggling on is the melees. And to me, I can only give the same advice as I gave for the snipers. It takes a lot of time. You can get the 100 kills out the way fairly easy with both the baseball bat and the knife, and so I would focus, if you haven't done them yet, I would focus on getting them done first to just get the 100 kills on each out the way. The big trouble with the melee weapons, and also kind of the snipers too, is the special challenges. Now, if you were like me and you hadn't got all these challenges done before the challenges got fixed from being bugged, you had to actually go and do these challenges properly. And as you can imagine, getting these challenges done properly with snipers and melees is incredibly stressful and very difficult. For the melees, again, I would just recommend you lobby hopping until you find stakeout. The diamond camos for both is fairly simple, just the 3 kill streaks. You can do that in a few games if you get a good lobby. Sometimes if you're insanely lucky, this didn't happen to me, but I've seen people do it legitly when the diamond camo wasn't bugged. People getting diamond knives in one game. Now that's not always going to happen, but it's possible. If you find the right lobby, you can definitely get a lot done in one game. Now the diamond camo for the other ones it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm sure even if you're a below average player, I don't think I'm very good at Call of Duty. I would consider myself a fairly average player, but even if you're a below average player, you can manage 3 kill streaks 10 times on every gun. Sometimes you get unlucky and you get a 2 and you die, and it's whatever. You just have to face the facts, and that's how the game works. But with enough time, I mean, you can do it. It's not that difficult. I know it's a bit ironic me saying that in a tip video, but it's true. I mean, anyone can do it. You'll get lucky and you'll get a triple kill, and wow, that's already one out the way. If you like to sit in corners and you like to sit and wait for people, you can do it that way. That's probably even the easiest way of doing it. It may not be the fastest, but if it's the way you like to play, that's the way you should do it, and you can get them all done that way. It's really not that difficult. Now, this next camo, the Darkspine challenges, is probably the nicest challenge they could have given us for Darkspine. Just triple kills really wasn't that difficult, especially for like the assault rifles, and even the marksman rifles were fairly easy, and even the LMGs and the SMGs were quite easy. But obviously, like every other challenge, the hard ones were the snipers and the melees. In this case, the hardest was probably the snipers, actually. You can find yourself getting random triple kills all the time on like stakeout and stuff with the melees. Not so much the baseball bat. The baseball bat's an anomaly because it's a 2-hit kill, and if you play it in core, you're destined to get murdered, and if you're playing it in hardcore, you're destined to get murdered. It's just a time game. But snipers, again, if you're just like me and you're not very good with them, it is very hard to get triple kills, but if you stick it out, it's more than doable. And my tips would be is you try to run... I would go and watch a video from like Scoped, or just find people who are good with snipers and literally just copy their attachment setups. I can leave a link to a video in the description about someone with a good sniping class. I watched a video on Scoped and his class setups, and it helped me snipe a lot better. Sniping in this game is pretty difficult. They're very big, they're very slow, and they're very clunky, and they're very difficult to chain a lot of kills together with. I will say, it's just a final point on Darkspine. If you think you're pretty good at the game, or you think you can get a lot done in a short space of time, 100% make sure you're running some double XP tokens when you're doing Darkspine. I pretty much went through an entire Prestige just using the double XP tokens and Darkspine. I think I started Prestige 4 I went straight onto the Darkspine challenges, and I got to Prestige 5 in less than a day. And that's a day in, you know, real time, not in-game time. Oh, and one more final thing for Darkspine is I would just make sure you run extended clips on a lot of your guns. There isn't really another attachment that I would say is a crutch for this, but if there is going to be a crutch attachment, make sure you're running extended mags. And finally, honestly, now that it's been patched, the Dark Matter challenges are actually quite difficult. If you're not the best of player like myself, you can probably imagine getting 5 kill streaks on 33 different weapons is insanely difficult. Some weapons far more difficult than others, but still very much difficult. The SMGs and the assault rifles, you'll do and you'll get lucky. In some games you'll get one done in an entire game, and some games you might not get one at all, but you can be fairly confident, especially if you play with your assault rifles and SMGs a lot. You can be fairly confident that you'll get 1 or 2 in a game, and that's just kind of how it goes. The ones I had the biggest trouble with was the baseball bat. It took me, I don't want to be scaring people, but it took me 5 hours to get 3 bloodthirsties with the baseball bat. Now, I don't use any of this cringe stuff where people 2-box or use VPNs or whatever to get easy lobbies. I was playing real lobbies against real people. It took me 5.5 hours to get it done. And the only thing I can say is pray for Stakeout and pray you get a lobby that isn't fantastic and you can just absolutely stomp with. I would recommend using smoke grenades for Stakeout. It's the only way you're ever going to get a consistent amount of kills. And I think actually if you're playing Stakeout and you're looking for Stakeout, I think the best modes to get this done is probably Domination. And it's not even because of how long the games last. It's morely because you can get quite a couple kills just by sitting on a flag and people running straight past you. That's probably the best thing I learned going for it. I got my first bloodthirsty maybe 3-4 hours into actually grinding for it. Then my next 2 come really quick when I started to throw smokes on a flag or even on a flag or in their spawns on Domination and just running in, and you'd be surprised how many times you'll get a random triple kill, and you can go and sit in a corner and do whatever you want. It's simple, but it's very difficult, and to execute it is very difficult. But if you use the tips of just Domination and throwing smokes and praying for the bad lobbies, you can get it done. And the same goes for the knife. The knife is obviously a little bit easier because it's a one-shot kill, and so you can go into your core face-off mosh pit and do it that way. Finally, and I know I'm talking about snipers again, well, snipers are the snipers, and they're obviously, barring the melees, probably the most difficult thing to do in this game. If you're a confident sniper, you'll get it done quick. If you're not so confident of a sniper, go sit in Nuketown. Go sit on Nuketown and go and sit at the back of the map and basically just farm kills. Do the best you literally physically can do. That is all I did. I got them fairly quickly after I stopped trying to think I was the next coming of the FaZe boys back in 2013. You just take your time and be patient. Find an angle which you think people are going to come through, and you just, as boring as it sounds, you just sit there. Right, that is the video, boys. I know it's not the most informative video ever, but I just wanted to make a video on my kind of grind for Dark Matter and how I found it, especially as I know I've said it a couple times now, but I am a fairly regular person and I do have to do other things outside of this. If you guys do want an estimated time frame to how long this probably would take you, I would say a month and a half. And if you're really busy and you work, 60 to 70 hours a week, or you're out all the time, maybe even a couple months if you don't get all that often to play. But if you give it time, boys, it'll all come. The most important thing you should be focusing on really is to just have fun. Anyway, boys, I've been your boy Mamba, and I'm going to be peacing out in a second. But one more thing quickly. For Christmas, I am going to be doing a special 12 Days of Christmas little series where I'm going to be giving away double XP tokens on every video I make in that period. So if you guys are excited to see that, do drop a like and make sure you do subscribe, leave them notifications on. I will have more videos out shortly, but I have been incredibly busy and I am trying to focus on getting this Nebula grind done. It takes a lot of time. But yeah, I've been your boy Mamba, guys. I hope you did enjoy. If you did like the video, please do drop a like. If you do want a more informative video or a more in-depth video on how to properly unlock these Dark Matter challenges, even if you're a regular person or if you're not a regular person, I'll leave a link to a video that I quite like down in the description by Technically Wild. But yeah, I've been Mamba, guys, and I'm out. Peace.